Hey, how's it going? Jesse here in a fucking freezing cold Stockholm, Sweden. It's like -5 degrees Celsius right now. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how exactly you can create a lifestyle of your own design that allows you to travel the world for as long as you want for your entire 20s. So if you're new to watching these videos and such, basically if I could summarize what I've been doing the last over 5 years now, is I've been traveling full time. I took off when I was 20 years old, 25 years old right now, and I will be traveling for the rest of my 20s. And I commonly get asked this, like, how the hell do you do it? You're so young, you've been doing it for so long. Like, what's the truth behind it all? Like, how is it possible? And in today's day and age, there's a lot of gurus that are marketing themselves as someone that travels around a lot, and fair enough, like a chunk of them actually do travel around, the other ones don't that much. So it seems. Um, and I'm gonna really share with you the complete truth behind it all. I'm gonna use my personal stories because it's a quite humbling and really intense journey concerning the things I've done, and I'll be sharing with you throughout this rest of the video. So when I speak about myself, what I want you to kind of focus on is my my resistance points, where I was like scared, and my obstacles out in front of me, and then what I did, how far I pushed it, my ways of thinking, so you can kind of comprehend and enter my mind and really live in my shoes, so you can better understand how exactly did and how I pushed through and such. So I want to make it clear what this video is not. I'm not going to try to sell you anything. I'm not going to try to sell you a program at the end of this video. It's not a sales video at all. It's just literally, I'm just going to reveal everything I've done the past over 5 years now. So, let's see. Yeah, let's just get into it. Okay, so in this portion of the video, I kind of want to kind of put things in perspective for you watching this video. Before I started traveling, it was so far from it being easy. It was one of the most difficult things. I had to transition from a normal day-to-day life and then transition into this whole unique way of living that not many people are doing. So yeah, just I'm share with you where I started before it all, so you can keep it in perspective. I probably repeated myself just then. It's just really cold, so I can't really speak properly, and my mind is like really frozen. So I'm gonna try to push through it all. Okay, so first things first. I dropped out of college when I was 18 years old. That was a very, very difficult decision. Of course, no parent wants to hear their kid decide to drop out of college at such a young age and not even able to finish a semester. So that was a very hard thing I had to endure. And after I finished that, my next step was joining like a personal training school, which was in Florida on the opposite side of the country. So I was there for about 4 months. Um, and the thing is, before I did that personal training school, I always had a very difficult time in the college education system and also public education system and all that jazz. So it was very, very difficult for me to even learn, or teachers would tell me, read this book, do this assignment. My mind couldn't grasp the idea. So when I went to personal training school, this was like literally the first time I've actually felt smart in my entire life. My brain was just sucking in all the information and such like that. So it was quite easy transition to jump into all that. So with that being said, once I completed that 4 months, the harsh reality was like I felt like that 4 months compiled the 4 years of college in such a short period of time. And so now I had to return back home. I had to try to find a job. I had to try to please my parents and be a good little boy and do the right thing, as many people believe it tend to be true. So going through all that and then telling my parents that I actually don't want to become a personal trainer, telling my family that, and then they were not happy at all. They couldn't believe I just sign up for this personal training school. I didn't even want to get the job for it. It's just that experience back in that personal training school really helped me put things in perspective in the sense that um, I've hung out with like-minded people for the first time in my life. I was learning about things I want to learn about. I was in a different part of the U.S. that was very, very new to me. So I was understanding that travel aspect of things along those sorts. And I discovered that a way of living to travel was possible. I saw on YouTube videos that these guys were traveling around. I read some forums, people were traveling around, and it really blew my mind because they could travel indefinitely. And once I knew that was possible, that's when I decided to jump into it all. And when I made that decision, it was very difficult for the people around me to accept because it's such a foreign thing. No one ever, if you would tell your teachers, your parents, or anyone close to you, hey, yeah, I just want to travel around and just do it for as long as I want. People don't believe that's possible. People think it is impossible, actually. So when I made that decision, everyone in my surroundings was not happy with it, and the environment I was in got too overwhelming to the point where I had to remove myself completely because no one was supporting me. I was going through a lot of internal resistance, so much, just downing everything I'm doing. Like how the hell are you supposed to create this lifestyle, Jesse? You have no idea. Um, and I was already going through a lot of self-doubt as it is. The last thing I needed were people, my family and friends telling me that it was impossible and just like, you need to be more realistic. So I decided to completely remove myself from that environment because I just really, really wanted to travel and I had to make it happen for myself. So I ended up moving into the middle of the desert in California. So this place it's called Indio, so it's a quite shitty place to be fair. And little did I know I was going to go through a really harsh period upon moving there because I was trying to figure out how to build an online business so I can travel around, and it wasn't as easy as it seemed. So I was focused on that quite a bit. I ended up staying inside I was living with my uncle at the time who just got out of prison, and I was trying to make it work, trying to figure things out. Yeah, it was very, very difficult to try to figure it all out. And I went into a even deeper hole because I didn't because in the U.S. The drinking age is 21 years old, and I was 19 at the time. So I couldn't socialize. Actually, my friends were all in college, so I didn't have friends in anywhere near me. I was very, very lonely. Um, And with that, I didn't go out and socialize like what normal people do. I ended up just staying indoors literally every single day, just behind the computer screen, um, listening to like motivational videos, trying to rewire my brain. Uh, I was like watching like seminars and trying to do like run the business and try to figure it out, emailing client like potential clients, and this thing lasted for a long time, like a solid year. And this is a solid year of pure isolation by yourself, not socializing with people. I probably said less than like 10 words a day. And my uncle would try to like get me outside the house. Like, let's go eat at a restaurant and let's go to come with me to the grocery store and such. But I was actually quite scared to leave the house. I thought people around me are constantly be judging me and all this stuff. So I was in a very, very dark place. I don't think like 99% of you watching this video can even comprehend how dark of a place that was that I was in. Just to be completely alone. Um, yeah, I feel it now just thinking about it. It's really humbling whenever I think about a time like this. So yeah, next thing you know, I'm working on this business, trying to make it work. Months are flying by. Like months literally were feeling like weeks to me. Um, and I ended up turning 20 uh, on June 3rd. at midnight, and I was just thinking, what the fuck are you doing? This is your 20th birthday. You have no friends to hang out with. You have bad relationship with basically your entire family because they don't understand your choice. Um, you cut off your friends completely because they didn't support your way of your decision to transition to your life and a new lifestyle that you wanted to achieve. I'm just sitting there behind the computer, just thinking about what type of piece of shit am I to to be here to have no one to celebrate with. And it was a huge slap in my face because I ended up doing this thought experiment, which was thinking, if I'm exactly where I am, so at home, doing nothing from day to day, not going out with friends, hanging out on the weekend, not traveling, not doing anything fun. And at the time, I lacked a lot of life experience. I haven't done much, anything in my life really. Sure, in high school, I partied with friends here and there, but not much. It was very limited. Not the potential I really knew I really wanted to live up to. So this thought experiment, I just thought of where I was at 20 years old, and then I played with the idea of, okay, what happened? You're 30 years old. You're in the same exact position. You've done nothing. And then that really started put my fears of traveling into perspective. So my biggest fears traveling while traveling was doing it alone, having no one to travel with. I was very socially awkward at the time, so I didn't know how to like really make new friends. I had a very difficult time doing that actually, growing up, and I also thought like, how the hell am I supposed to finance all my travels? I can't. I don't know how to make money online. This is the route I chose to do. There's many other different ways. I also thought, Jesse, you barely have any. You have like 3 digits in your bank account. How the fuck are you gonna afford to travel? And the list of excuses went on and on and on. It was never ending. And then I did this exercise that kind of put it in perspective. That those fears are nothing compared to me not able to me being 30 years old, not doing anything with my life. And I read this article that really changed my life. Actually, it had a huge impact on my life. It was talking about how to live like a rock star lifestyle without spending much. And to summarize it, it talked about how people like use not having enough money as an excuse, not to travel, and then it kind of. I'm just gonna summarize it. I don't want to ramble on too long for this video. It says like, if you don't have money, what else do you have to offer? So I started thinking about all the resources I have. Like, I know personal trainer. Like, I'm a personal trainer, so I can offer that. I can sleep on sofas, no problem. I'll help around the house. Uh, I was really into like personal development, so I'm willing to talk about that. Like just going down the list of all the things I had to offer, and that kind of there was a massive shift in my head at that moment. And if you add that on top of what I just that little thought experiment, that 10 years later, where are you exactly in this moment? I'm not making sense right now. Like, if you're where you are right now, you haven't done much, and then 10 years later, you're still in the same exact position. So that those two kind of compiled, and then I started noticing how all these excuses that came to my mind, I just came up with. I focused on the obstacle. I just focused on how I couldn't do it. So then I shifted my head like, okay, well, how can you do it? So, for example, since I was in the online business realm, I was thinking, well, Jesse, since you're working online, there's internet connection everywhere, so you can do that. So that was one thing. And then you can hear my voice trembling because I'm fucking cold as fuck. And then I was thinking, oh, I'm too scared to travel alone. Then I'm thinking like, what resources do I have? And I'm thinking, oh, well, I did go through that one semester in college, and my roommate was from Sweden, and that's overseas, and in Sweden, you don't have to be 21 to go out and have fun. I'm like, oh, okay, that's it. And then it kind of like went on and on and on from there. And all of a sudden, and then also the one last one, which is huge, is Jesse, how you don't have enough money? I'm thinking, well, I do have a credit card. I And then I'm thinking, oh no, it's just like I don't want to ruin my credit score. Getting into debt is bad. But I'm thinking, Jesse, it's just a fucking number. Thinking about 10 years later, and you're in the same exact position, and you realize that your time's flying by. That it really becomes a number, just a fucking number. And that's what made me jump in. So in this next portion, this next section of the video, I'm going to talk about how I actually was able to keep it going. And it's going to be, if you thought this portion was quite dark or whatever, this next portion, it will really put in perspective to see, so you can see how far and how willing I was to keep the travels going and how much I sacrificed to do that. So in that last clip, you last heard that I took off overseas on a one-way ticket. I had no way to keep on financing my travels while I was overseas. I had barely any money. I just had a credit card. Even then, it wasn't that much. I had a lot of factors that definitely told me that I shouldn't go overseas and that type of stuff. So the next question that comes to mind is how exactly did you were able to sustain yourself while you're overseas? Well, the thing is, I took things to the very extreme to make it happen. So I budgeted quite a bit throughout the years. I'm talking about I try to use as little money as possible. So if I was staying with a friend's couch, I would only spend my money on like, for example, the friend I was staying with in Borlänge, and I came down to Stockholm. I spent my money on train tickets down to Stockholm so I could work on my social skills, network, and have some friends that are out here. And if you realize behind me, it says Central Station. In Swedish, they say T-Centralen. And this place that you see behind me, it was literally my home. Over the weekends, when I had no place to stay, I never spent my money on like hostels or anything like that, because it's just too expensive out here. So I chose to stay in the train station, but I would have to wait until it's 3 a.m. because the clubs close at 2 a.m. So I have to wait an hour outside in the freezing cold until it opened up, and then I was able to sit there where it was quite warm. And during this time of year when I did fly overseas to Sweden, it was during the wintertime, just like now. So yeah, I was in the train station. I wasn't allowed to sleep. The first night I attempted to sleep, security guards woke me up and told me that I'm not allowed to sleep here. I need you wary of all my personal belongings and such things like that. So I ended up staying up 4 hours straight waiting for my next train ride, which was at 7 a.m. so I can go back up to Borlänge, and then I could sleep on the sofa at my friend's house. And I went there I did this every single weekend for the first 2 months I was out here. And there's a couple other things that come to mind when I took it to the extreme. So when I was living in Ukraine, for example, I spent $300 a month. That's a very, very small amount of money. So that's averaging out about $10 a day. Now, what people didn't see was I was staying in a 8-person hostel dorm room, and I spent about $3 for food, and I ate once per day. So the hostel was about $7 a day, and the food was about $3 a day. That's something I did to keep on traveling. And now another thing I did to keep on traveling was I needed to pay for my rent back when I was living in Poland in 2014, and the rent was about $220 for the month. So I decided to eat muesli with Greek yogurt and some strawberries um, for some taste and some flavor. And I did that for 1.5 months, and I ate the muesli every single day because I needed to save money. So these are the things I did, and I took it to the extreme. Some of my friends, they hear about my stories and stuff, and they're quite shocked. They told me that they wouldn't do that. I'm a bit crazy and such and such, but really, it was how I viewed it was like almost life and death almost. I want to fucking travel, and I'll do everything. I'll sacrifice everything. I'll sacrifice my body for crying out loud, which I did. There's times I was very skinny. I looked almost unhealthy, specifically during that Poland time when I was eating muesli for a month and a half. That all my friends still give me shit to this day. Um, yeah, so I did that, but the thing is, you can't sustain the travels for so long just living off directly off a credit card. So I did keep on trying to learn the online business thing. In fact, I started many. The current one I have to this day is the 10th one I've had. So I started off with like a business card design business, a presentation design, video animations. I did like 3 different variations of that. Website design. Um, I was working with a client to manage his like e-com store, like managing uploading products and such like that. I was designing ClickFunnels, web pages for some client. I did various things just to keep on financing my travels, and whatever money I made from that, I would just flip it right back into the travels because I saw travel as like an investment in myself, and I was learning so much along the way, and I didn't want it to end. I sacrificed a lot, man. For example, I haven't celebrated the holidays with my family for over 5 years now. I've never, no, not over 5 years. I recently gone back. It's been better in the past year, which I'll go into in the next segment. So I think it was like 4 years. 4 years I didn't celebrate any holidays with them. I was quite lonely. I can remember times when I was here in Sweden. My friend actually had me over for Christmas, which was nice. But the following ones, I was in Poland by myself while all my friends went back home. Um, yeah, and it was quite difficult times for me to sacrifice. And sure, I could have flown back for these holidays, but I just thought like, well, that's money that I could be living for an extra month overseas, so I was willing to make that sacrifice. And in fact, the longest time I've been overseas and haven't seen family was 18 months straight. Some people get like real homesick in like 2, 3 months, but for me, 18 months was like nothing. Like I didn't want to go home. I want to keep on traveling. And these are some of the things I did to keep on trying to make it work. I mean, when you have a business, you're not getting paid hourly like you do as a regular job, and it's not for everybody. Before I used to suggest anybody and everybody to start a business, try to figure it out, but it is fucking difficult. You don't get paid hourly. So to help you better understand how to create a lifestyle so you can travel, there's different variations of it. For example, you can teach English in Korea. I spoke with a girl about last year, sometime in May, and I suggested this to her. And I recently was in South Korea, and I met up with her, and she actually took action on what I said, which is fucking incredible. So that's one way if you want to travel. There's other things such as, let's see, you can teach English over Skype calls. You can try to find like a gig with businesses where you can manage their wholesale store, just like what I did. There's so many little things, but you just have to make that commitment to like really like, okay, I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try to find some online source of income. There's freelance work. There's so many little things, but you just have to take the time and effort to search and seek those things because it is difficult to try to find and get a. I'm just freezing my fucking ass off right now. It's like -5, so I'm trying to think. yeah, there's just a lot of different ways where you just have to make that commitment and jump in fully. So if I could think, yeah, it's been difficult times throughout the years trying to keep on traveling and making ends meet, getting to more debt. But things really switched with me personally last year. So 4 years into the travels, which I'll get into the next clip because I need to warm up. As we were talking about in the previous clip, 4 years into it, I found no success. Yeah, it was very difficult times. The thing is about this lifestyle, it's not fucking easy in the slightest trying to make it happen. I think back to a moment where I worked like 18-hour days, 20 hours. There'd be times where I just would forget to eat because I'm just so immersed in the work, trying to make it happen. My back against the wall. I'm like almost maxing out all my credit cards, and I'm just like, I have to make it work. I have to make it work. Just spending money on advertising, which the money is to finance my living, my travels, and for food and for a place to stay. So for me to use that money to try to make a business work, it was very, very difficult to do because it's like if I max out my credit cards, I had no choice but to go back. But even then, that was never an option for me. There was no way I was going to go back to the U.S. That's a huge key here. There's never once, no matter how many difficult situations I went through throughout the years, even yeah, very, very difficult situations. A lot of people would have thrown in the towel, but I just no, I would not have done it. I just don't like to give up like that. Just not. That's just not me. Especially when it comes to something I really, really want, such as traveling. So yeah, there's many times where I've spent months and months. Elon Musk said a quote which I really like. So the average person works 40 hours per week, um, and he says that so they're working 40 hours per week, and then they work for a year. Now he says that if you work 100-hour weeks for 4 months, what you will achieve what someone would work 40 hours per week would in a year. So I really took that to heart, and I was just grinding away. There was times where um, I would just be working and working and working to the point where my neck started to hurt. There would be times where I just I love to go out and party and stuff like that, but there was time where it was not appealing to me. All I wanted to do was just work and work and work. Even then, like I try to keep my health in order. I was just forcing myself to go, just to get the workout in, and I come immediately back. I can't wait to start to work. And I'll do that again and again and again. I swear, behind the scenes of all this luxury that you see of the travels and get to go from here to here, and if you look back to my previous videos,
So right now I'm in Krakow, Poland, Dalat, Vietnam, Lviv, Ukraine, Washington, D.C., Zakopane, Poland, Copenhagen, Thailand, Istanbul, Turkey, Sofia, Bulgaria, Bucharest, Romania, Ho Chi Minh City, Helsinki, Bonsko, Koh Samui, Sweden, London, New York City, Budapest, Hungary, Longzwien, Barcelona, Spain. I always wanted to say this, finally, when in Rome.
I've been to many, many places, but I wasn't living super luxurious. Sure, I was traveling, which I fucking loved. I wouldn't trade that for the world, but behind the scenes, there was so much shit I had to fucking endure mentally, and then my family still questioning me like, well, you're still traveling. Why don't you just come home and get a job and be like a responsible adult and stop doing this thing? You're getting old now. You got to be serious and all these things. And I had a lot of internal resistance. I had some friends that quote unquote made it, and I was like one of them that was like lagging behind, and I had a very difficult situation for sure. But there was an upside to it. All that hard work did pay off. On my 10th business, which is the one that's currently on the verge to hit 7 figures, I started it last year in May, and I had a lot of success with that. To the point where like, yes, I did get myself into debt due to travel, and with business, that travel debt I think tripled, and I can probably say I paid all of that off. I paid $47,000 worth of credit card debt the day before my birthday, before I turned 25 years old, as a present to myself, and it's a huge accomplishment that I don't see anyone in this world right now doing at the moment. Once I release this video, no one's traveled the world for over 5 years, got themselves into massive credit card debt, built a business without going to college, and had to learn like the hard way. I learned through like online courses and just like studying, listening to this and that, like purely through self education, just trying to figure it out. Um, so I did that. It got super successful while I was traveling. I don't know. I was working, I was grinding away, and then it clicked. The business switched, and then I started traveling. The business blew up from there. I had like record sales days. There's a day that I'll never forget. I was in Bali with like really close friends of mine, and we're traveling over to Thailand the next trip, and we're just joking around on the flight over. One of my friends just Sammy, if you're watching this, Sammy, that I'll never forget that flight. He's just like talking to all these girls on the flight, and then the girls just want to use the bathroom, but he's just like there blocking it, basically, just flirting and stuff like that. And I was dying inside, laughing so hard. And then we get into Thailand, and then we check in, and then next we want to meet up with all of our buddies that we've traveled together with. And I checked my sales record, and I had like a record profit day, like the record, and it was insane. And I never even touched the business, and I had an insane profit day. I'm thinking like, wow, like those days where profits were like, wow, I literally covered my monthly expenses doing nothing. So I had great success with that. And for me to pay off all that credit card debt, despite all it's such a taboo thing to travel off of and use your credit card to travel and get into debt and all this stuff. But hey, if you look at it, sure, the first 4 years was very difficult to endure and deal with that criticism. But for me to pay off all that credit card debt, over $47,000 worth of credit card debt, and I paid it off in 3 months. And I traveled the world for about that time. It was 4.5 years, and I collected all those experiences. I met people from around the world. I learned so much about myself and people and just like what I want to do with my life. And I did that, and for me to have do that accomplishment, it literally leaves me speechless because people that were my age would do the whole college thing, and then next thing you know, they would get into, for example, I know someone who's in six figures in debt because they want to become a doctor or whatever, and they're stuck in a corporate office back in the U.S. And then they have to deal with that, and then and they can't travel. They can only get like 2 weeks off out of the entire year. Well, whereas me, I can travel wherever I want, whenever I want, and it gets better too, because even though I just told you before this clip, I told you how I was homeless in the T Centralen because I had to wait for my train rides. Right now, if behind me is a hotel I'm staying in right now, and it's quite humbling. Every time I do these luxurious things like eat at really good restaurants. I'm able to fly like first class now, business class on the regular if I wanted to. I can book hotels if I wanted to. I can just fly wherever I want, whenever I want. And coming from the very beginning, where you can click on back there and hear my story, it was a very, very dark place. I had no way to finance my trips. I was very socially awkward. I had a lot of factors that were against me, and the fact that I've made it all happen in a 5 years time is quite the accomplishment. And the thing is, with me doing this, me dropping out at 18 years old, and I've literally been traveling for my entire 20s. I'm 25 now, so I have another 5 years to go before I turn 30. It's uh it's quite the journey. It's insane to think about. And this is what this whole YouTube channel is all about. I'm basically that test rat. If anyone ever wondered, oh, what would happen if a kid dropped out of college and decided to travel and he didn't have money? He just had a lot of disadvantages. And then let's see what happens. This is what my YouTube channel is all about. You can see my personal documentary um, in my previous videos. You can see that I'm speaking in a very different way. I've just it leaves me speechless every time I think about it, really. And to summarize this whole video up, I wish I could give you a direct step-by-step on how to create a lifestyle so you can travel whenever you want. But the thing is, all of us have so many different personality types and characteristics and like strengths and weaknesses, so it's very hard for me to summarize and generalize it all. But if I can summarize, if I could say one thing, is literally you have to be obsessed with it. You have to be like you heard my story throughout this whole entire video. You know how much I wanted to travel, and I was willing to sacrifice my health for crying out loud, and then I did that, and it's for me it's just worth it. And I feel like if you really wanted to travel as much as me, if you're starting from square one or you want to slowly transition to it, or if you are kind of traveling but then you just go back home, you have to push it to the fucking limit if you really want to do it for as long as me. And yeah, this is a pretty long video. I think it's over 30 minutes. I've been going around Stockholm for the past like 3-4 hours just trying to film, set up, warm up, set up the shot, and all these things. So it's quite a long video. So thank you for watching all this. I hope you got a lot out of it. I hope this is like the raw truth. This is the shit that not many people will share with you. But I just feel like you need to hear the truth and what it really takes. It's not a fucking walk in the park. It's a crazy journey. If you have the courage and you take that leap of faith to do all this, if you want to like follow my footsteps, it's not that scary anymore. It's not like an like no one walked the path. When I took the step, no one walked the path. But now that I've done it and it's safe on the other side, uh, you can join. You can walk that path as well. You know that no one's gonna die. That's just the mind's coming up with those fears and excuses to prevent you from doing something like this. But now that I've done it, it's all good. I welcome anyone and everybody to join in if they really wanted to. Like I said, it's not a walk in the park. It's a crazy journey, but it's one of the most fulfilling things. And when you think back to all the experiences and the people and the things you'll learn, all the places you've seen, it leaves you speechless. There's nothing like it, and I feel so blessed that I'm only 25 years old and I have my entire life ahead of me still, and I've done a lot the past 5 years, and it's just gonna get better and better from here. Okay, so let's close this video. Thank you very much for watching. Yeah, and I'll see you next time.